Let's retract back out of the myopia of the here and now to a place of omniscient observation. Here, like tiny gods, we can travel the universe in reverse and witness its unfolding waves of time. And what would we see roll out upon the shores of this exhausting expanse? A gorgeous Genesis. For at the very moment of conception, as space itself was being born in the thrashing heat of the singularity, the breaking and colliding of all creation would birth a triplet to the siblings of space and time. 14 billion years before we would become, before we could conceive of this trinity, sure and perfect potential would come forth. This potential lies in wait with no agenda, no deadlines, no need to actualize at all, yet it exists for anything, for everything. Eventually, our little planet around our little star discovered and consumed its portion. For 4 billion years, this same potential shaped our world, morsel by morsel, rock by rock, until the day one hominoid made a mark that conveyed a meaning to another. Right then, so long after the first cell divided, long after the first fire was ignited, reading was invented. Along its steady trajectory, potential itself grew. For these sacred marks could transcend time. These characters could talk long after our mouths dried up and withered. Knowledge could now store itself outside the individual memories that degrade and fade into nothingness. Writing and thus reading evolved and were created by a unique necessity. The desire for understanding, for grappling with our environment and ourselves was a force unto itself. This need reflected a truth we used to continue to survive, to improve, and to inspire. Generation after generation after generation became, expanding and trading on a common base of knowledge that can now be built like Babel, reaching ever upward towards the heaven of understanding. There are a few things that make our species special, but none I think stack up against our ability and urge to commune, to tell stories, to be heard, observed, remembered, and mentored. This fixation is satiated by the written word, by our learned magic of reading, and that is truly what this is. People wish for dragons and fairies to be real, but how much more magical is the telekinesis we have already invented and now take for granted? I can read what Socrates preached. I can read how we put a man on the moon. I can read what a stranger halfway around the world is thinking at this very moment. This is magic. This is glory. And so here we are, in the now, a singular set aside from the billions. Some of us still remember what made us who we are. Maybe some genetic memory that refuses to forget is accessed by those of us who cannot put down the books. We read because we can. We read because we know the secret the most have forgotten. That reading is to live every life that has ever lived or ever could be. Reading is limitless. Reading is all the possibilities that life can contain. Reading is to become all, endless, anew, and rebranded by perspective and objectivity. We gain from reading. We learn the mistakes others made so we don't have to. We view the feelings that our hearts can contain before we are forced to feel them. We live the lives our choices might lead to before we choose our path. Reading is playing at life before we live it. Through this spell, we can live 1,000 lives and choose the one we want. And once on course, we can read more to learn how to obtain and chain our desires while breaking free from the yokes of unawareness and ignorance. Why do we read? Because it fascinates, educates, distracts, and enacts in us hope and love and wisdom. Because its endless scope provides for all the feelings and teachings that one might ever need. We read because to not is a choice against truth. To not read is to choose anecdotal experience over verified evidence, personal loss over historical observation, and one life, our life, over the lives of everyone who has ever lived, the multitudes of species' existence. To read is to elevate the blessing of being born. To read is to witness the power of our evolution. To read is to fulfill that which first allowed us to become human.